Do you all have a pen and paper or something to write? So today's workshop is called Energetically Aligned Selling, and that's exactly what I'm going to be speaking about the selling process, but also about how to do it in an energetically aligned way so that we can actually feel good about it, have fun with it, connect with people, and generally don't find it as icky as it's mostly seen in the business world or when we're starting businesses. And if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I actually managed to have the chat open here, or you can also raise your hand. I think that's one of the options you can do. And I will see if I can let you in so we can also chat, because it doesn't seem to be too many people. So then that's always a nice option as well, if you want to come on and just ask your questions or let me know what you're thinking. And then, like I already said, I will be talking most of the time, but there will be a few questions where you can either journal or you can put it in the chat as well. You can share with us so that we can have a bit of an exchange of thoughts and ideas. So while you might be here, you might have changed your offer a couple of times already. You may think that you don't have enough qualifications sometimes, or you may have changed your niche a couple of times. You may have considered changing your pricing model. There's a lot of reasons why we doubt our selling abilities. And you might also be regularly coming back to reminding yourself that you want to be authentic, because it very often happens that we go off track and that we, after a while, feel like we've been copying someone else or some other strategies, and we don't actually feel really authentically connected anymore to what we're doing. You might also have been doubting whether what you're doing is enough. And maybe, like I said, you are comparing yourself with others, although you do probably want to stay away from comparison. But, we all know how it is when we're scrolling on social media, and it's just almost impossible to sometimes go into that comparison mode. But one of the most pressing subconscious things is fear. Fear is always an underlying energy that is quite negative, and it comes in whenever we feel insecure. So fear might come in for you to believe that you're not able to pull this business project off, or that you're not able to make it long lasting, or that you're just putting a lot of work and hope into it, but maybe you're never really picking the ripe fruits from it in the future. So this is one of the first questions actually that I have to you. I would like you to write down some of the fears that you're feeling today about the selling process. If you put aside all the hopes and the positive stories you've heard, because I'm sure you have also loaded yourself with positive affirmations and so on, the gratitude and the excitement. And I'm sure that you know that your business can turn out amazing, but these fears do creep in once in a while. And when we take away all the positive layers, then there is a raw, ignored underlying fear that we mostly carry around with ourselves. So what is it that makes you fearful about your business and about the selling process? And obviously, we're not deposing the positives here. Obviously, we will bring them back. But in order to get the clarity and to really feel authentic with our work, it's necessary that we also acknowledge these fears, to identify ourselves with this role of being a startup business owner. We do have to uncover them once in a while to see what's under the layers. Okay. I hope you all had a chance to write something. So the truth is that fear can hold us back, and it can also move us forward, right? And like Martin Luther King Jr. said, that courage is the power of the mind to overcome fear. So our fears literally are telling us what we need to focus on and what we can learn, where we can go through a change or through a transformation in order to make something else happen. And this can give us an opportunity to break through a new milestone in our business, which, when we know that this is what's happening, we can almost see fear as an opportunity to get out of our comfort zone, to break through some boundaries, and to acknowledge them, to know that they're there for a reason. Because there will always be doubts, worries, and fears, because we're human and we weigh situations and we try to understand risks, and we're always looking for the best possible path ahead. So whenever we feel fear, we can also see an opportunity. And the more we practice to get ourselves out of that comfort zone, the more we can grow. Does that make sense? Okay, let me introduce myself for those who don't know me yet. So I'm Lisa, a mom and wife of 2 children and 1 husband. I grew up in Germany actually, but I have lived in Sweden since 2008. I love yoga and ice cream. And I play a couple of instruments too. I take a lot of walks with my very active dog. And I have studied business and relationship marketing when I was in my early 20s. But I'm also an educated preschool teacher, and I've had 2 businesses before starting this one in quite different areas. But I have learned a lot about the startup process, and now, while I'm also working with some beautiful clients, I am also finishing a master's in education and sustainability with a focus on transformative learning. So you could say that I have a passion for startup businesses, for education, for transformation and sustainability, and I love continuous growth. I want everyone to have the opportunity to continuously learn, to continuously grow. And I really, really try to, share everything that I learn. And I want to make this world a better place in a way, to help others to build up their own businesses, because I know how much freedom it can bring, and how when we break through these limiting beliefs or these boundaries, that we've set for ourselves, we can really transform and create something different, a different lifestyle. So this is how I have found my zone of genius. I combine all of my interest areas, and that's how I have become a life coach and a startup strategist for small businesses. So now, if you're someone who is living from a huge inheritance, or you have a rich husband, or you won the lottery, then maybe you will not have a need for this training. It's obviously still amazing if you want to serve clients and fulfill your purpose, but you may not have the need to learn how to strategically sell your service, how to feel aligned with your values and with your authentic self. But if you are like me and you have to pay your bills, then this is definitely for you. So if you want to build a business that covers your expenses at a minimum, if you want to create a lifestyle that feels authentic and aligned with your values, where burnout isn't an option, and you still want to have time for your hobbies and for your family, then stay on. You're definitely in the right place. And I encourage you to put away all your distractions. Try to be in a calm space, if not physically, then at least mentally. Take a few deep breaths and focus on focusing, on listening, and on thinking. Take this time for yourself and for your business. And actually, I would like for you to introduce yourself shortly in the chat. You can just say your name and where you are in your business and where you would like to be in 6 months from now. So you might represent one of these 3 people. You might either be in the very beginning of your business and trying to figure out how best you can go about your business strategy and your selling process, or you could have a business already and know what you want to offer, but you haven't really focused on a sales strategy yet. Or you've already taught yourself a lot about marketing strategy, but you're feeling a bit drained and stuck and exhausted of trying to get clients. So I'm not sure how far along you are, if you have already worked with your strategy, but you can just put in the chat if you consider yourself to be number 1, 2, or 3, person number 1, 2, or 3. I always say that you want to create a virtual storefront for yourself, for your own services. Because when you have, let's say, a shop or a saloon or something like that, right, people can actually pass by. You can locate it in a place where you know your right target audience will pass by. They will see, they will look inside, they will see you as the business owner, they will see the brand colors, etc. But in the online space, that's quite a bit more difficult because people don't just pass by your store coincidentally. They have to somehow be drawn to it, somehow cross past it because they belong to a certain group, or they search for it, or because you reach out to them. I mean, there's different ways, obviously, but it's a little bit more difficult than if you have a physical location. And that's where all the marketing and the sales process comes in. So if you put your hand on your heart, what do you feel is keeping you right now from working with your dream clients? You can also let me know in the chat. So what people usually say to me as well is that, you know, they feel they don't have enough visibility, they maybe don't have a website, maybe a payment system isn't set up yet, and maybe potential clients possibly can't pay. Like, that's one of those inner critic voices, right? They're not sure in their niche. They're finding social media super exhausting. They don't have the belief that they're ready and that they can do it. And there's little motivation for the business side of things, for the marketing and the sales part. And that's why I'm focusing on what I do in my program, because I feel that all of these things are so important in creating a business, that there has to be a smooth process, or an easy way in, so that you can, you know, guide yourself through a process and make these things happen and quiet that inner critic. So what it really comes down to then in this question of what is it that is keeping you from working with your dream clients is that you need to identify what it means to be working in your business, and you need to identify who your clients are. Those are the two big questions that you should deal with in the very beginning, once you're ready to go out and to work with people. Because, like, we could say, I want to be a coach, right? But that's too general. So what is it that your work specifically entails? Which details will you implement into your work? What are you bringing to the pot of skills and of competence and of knowledge? So let's say that you're selling a new pair of shoes. And you really have to think about, what is it that I offer people? It's not just a pair of shoes, because you can get that anywhere, right? So instead, maybe you need to think about what type of shoes is it? What occasions are they for? For whom are these shoes? What's the season they're for? In what country should they be worn or sold? What's the price range? What material? Do they have any sustainability qualities? And when you answer all of these questions, right, you will then find a target person who will buy that specific pair of shoes in that country, with these values, with, you know, the money to spend on shoes, etc. And you can then develop an idea of what exactly you want to offer and who you want to offer it to. And it's the same with services. So if you offer a service and we create our first offer, we still need to answer all of these very detailed questions, so that when we speak to people, we have a clear message. So clarity is the most important thing before we start working with clients. We need clarity. We need to know exactly why we do what we do and for whom. And only then we can start moving on. So if you already have an idea of what you want to be offering, maybe let me know. You can put it in the chat. If you already have an idea on what specifically you would like to offer and how that looks like for people. And if not, that's also okay. So where are we going with this? Well, what is really, really important is your message, right? So your message can only be clear when you know exactly what you're offering. And therefore, you have to become really, really clear about the problem that you're solving. So this is another question for you. What problem are you solving for your potential clients, right? So when you go to the doctor, for example, and you go there because you have a certain problem. Now, if your general doctor tells you without listening to your problem what medicine to take, you're not going to trust him or her, right? You will think that that's something very general, something that might not help your specific problem. But if you find someone who specializes exactly on that neck pain, for example, that you have, with a certain lifestyle you're leading and with specific symptoms you've been having over a certain period of time, and then he or she gives you a medicine for that, you might actually trust that they know what the solution is they're giving you and that it will actually help you, that it's the right solution, right? So for us in the services businesses, we also want to offer a solution. And oftentimes we focus on speaking about that solution. But what we actually need to be speaking about is the problem, because your potential clients probably don't know yet that they need your solution. They just know, I have this problem. And that's what you have to kind of identify and open up for them so that they know, okay, if I have this problem, this is the person I go to because she specializes on my problem. And then we always have to remember that what you offer is unique. It's a combination of everything that you have in your backpack. It's a combination of your experiences, of your knowledge, of your ideas, of your soul and your heart and your efforts and your voice. And that's what people are going to know you for. So no one is like any other person, even if some people try to copy and to do the same as another. But to be outstanding, you've got to trust in yourself. You have to learn that you can find your way through this business jungle, and you will do it with your unique capabilities and with your unique skills. And with everything that you already have, it's enough to start helping, to start supporting some people. So it doesn't really matter if it's with help or without, in a short time or a long time, but you have to trust that you can find your way. Then you can make choices on, you know, what help to get and whom to work with and which courses to take, etc., which books to read. But to first of all have that self-belief, to know that it is possible, and it is possible for you because there is no other you. It's only you in this world who can offer your backpack, who can offer your experiences and your mix of knowledge, of skills, and whatever that's combined with. And for that, the inner work on ourselves is really important. So if you really want to, you know, work on your inner genius and your confidence level, your identity as a business owner has to become crystal clear, so that when you show up for yourself, you know, it's not something that scares you, but it's something that you enjoy because you're so certain, you're so sure on what you have to offer is you and is enough, and it's something that will solve your potential client's problem. And then showing up and being visible will feel very different. And so once we know the who and the what, and once your message is drafted and your vision is clear, and you've maybe set out your mission on how to get to your goal and how to help your clients, and you've designed a clear positioning statement, then now you can actually start speaking to people in confidence. So all of this clarity and this inner work is very important to do it before. You know, you're never done with it, obviously, but you want to do it in depth so that you can be on social media, and then you can have a website and you can put it on a blog and you can put it in podcasts or in local events and workshops, etc. You don't have to do that all at once, of course, but once you have your message clear, then you can actually go and work on your visibility. You can start working on being in the online space and showing up and showing people what it is that you bring to the table and how you can help them. So now that we are feeling authentic and that you know how to speak about what you have to offer, Now you actually want to make it ready to be sold to those who align with your message, right? And here, it is very important that you feel you are allowed to want to make a profit, because oftentimes we hard-let service entrepreneurs, we find it very difficult to sell the offers for money because we feel that, you know, it's nice to give free sessions, it's nice to let people try to help people and all of that, but then when it comes to charging, it becomes uncomfortable and icky and weird. So that's why here I say it's important to set up some profitability goals so that you can pay the bills that need to be paid today, right? And whether you'd like to earn 7 figures one day or you'd like to travel while working, all of these are wonderful and achievable goals. But building a business takes time, takes patience, and takes commitment. And the first goal that you want to have is to cover your expenses, is to pay the bills that you have, right? And like, no, you're not overpricing because you have a lifetime pact into a service that solves a problem. So that we have identified now, right? And it will become easier to price your offers and to price your services because you will feel very certain, very confident in what you offer, and that it might actually transform someone's life completely. And that can be worth a lot, no matter how much experience you have in free sessions or paid sessions. But what's important for you to realize is that you have this big backpack, that it is filled with a lot of value, and that you are allowed to make a profit in your business, that you are allowed to want to pay your bills. And from there, we then can take some essential steps to set up these goals. So what I usually say is that in the beginning, it's important that you understand your personal finances. So know what you need. How much do you need to live a balanced life right now, right? We're not talking about the traveling to the Maldives and stuff, but we just want to cover what we need to cover today. And then feel into how many people you would like to work with per week. So this is where we start thinking about the energy, right? Like how much effort do you want to put into working with people? How many sessions would you ideally want to have per day? Because it's not sustainable to have, say, 6 to 8 sessions. That's a lot because you need to be there, you need to be able to listen, you need to be present for your clients and so on, right? And then you set up timeframes. So when do you need to earn a certain amount of money? And this has nothing to do with hope, but it has to do with strategy. Because when you know how soon you need a certain amount of money, then you can set up steps and goals and, you know, steps to get you to those goals. And you can then figure out which steps exactly you have to take to make sure this happens. Because what often happens is that we don't trust, we doubt ourselves too much. And with that doubt coming in and not having clear goals, we kind of say, well, it would be nice if this happens in 3 months, but you know, if not, then that also makes sense because I obviously don't have the experience. But if you say in 3 months this will happen, you're going to take all the necessary steps one way or another to make it happen. And you're going to be, you know, you're going to set your mind on making it possible. And it is possible because the world is big and there's tons of people out there and people that have the problem that you have the solution for. So another question is, what do you need to serve your clients, right? And think about what platforms do you need to have, for example? How do you want to reach your clients? How much time do you need to reach them? How do you want to cover those expenses? Because there might be some additional expenses popping up that then, you know, you need to cover as well. So a lot of it has to do with making a good calculation so that things can work for you. And even though this is hypothetical, you will get a much clearer picture about how it is to lead or to have a business. So when will you want to have sold your services, and also how do you make sure to sell them until then, right? That's what I spoke about. These are the specific steps that you then plan out. And this could also include that you actually start thinking about what you're paying for right now in life, for example, which things you feel you maybe could let go of. You know, there's games, there are subscriptions, TV channels, coffee shop visits, all kinds of things that, you know, maybe for the time being, when you're starting your business, you can shift certain expenses without actually sacrificing a lot or making a lifestyle change. But it's just to really revise, you know, what it is that you can make happen in order for your business to establish. And then things will look very different, right? Like after the startup phase, things will look very different, but it's that phase when you want to put in the most commitment to make things happen for you. Because you are also a marketer and a salesperson. Whether you like it or not, being a business owner means that you are also a marketer and a salesperson. And yes, it is really hard to get around these sometimes, because mostly we want to focus on our services and our product that we have to offer. You are the product that you offer to people with all of that backpack that I was speaking about. But then there are also other things that we have to learn and get through in the beginning. Even though you can outsource a lot of this later on, it's a good, well, it's actually an essential part to have some idea about it yourself and to somehow have worked through it yourself at some point in your business journey. Because otherwise, it's very difficult to instruct someone else or to guide someone else that you want to bring on board if you haven't actually worked with them. So does this make sense to you? So now, after you've gone through all of these steps, once you have clarified whom you help, what problem you solve for them, why you do what you do, what message you want to send out, how your services are unique, how much income you need to cover your expenses, when you need your services to be sold, and which steps you're going to take to get you there, how would that feel? How would it feel to have that clarity? Let me know in the comments. So one thing is certain, that you will probably feel different. And different can be either really, really good, but you could also feel quite overwhelmed. So it's important that here we take time to realign our energy. Because yeah, it is really easy to get overwhelmed as well and to get lost, you know, keeping track of all our priorities and knowing what to do first and moving forward. But don't forget that you came to start your own business to create a more fun life with more freedom, with more quality time for yourself and for your family, or whatever it was that drove you towards this step of becoming your own business owner. So at this point, we really want to come back to ourselves and to start reflecting on how work has evolved, how we are now spending our day, and if this is how, you know, it's ideal, or maybe we would like to change something and shift energies. So we want to make sure that we only spend time on things that we do intentionally, because it happens quite quickly. You might want to post something on social media, and instead you start scrolling on social media and you find another masterclass here and another thing there, and then the day is gone and you actually haven't done anything that was on your to-do list. So it's very important to always ask yourself this question: am I doing this with an intention? And this can mean even when you're watching a series in the evening and you do that with the intention of just relaxing for half an hour and letting your mind just browse free, that's fine, right? Unless you binge watch one after the other and you get frustrated over the time that you have lost, then that's not intentional. So just to always come back to that, to center yourself and to ask yourself, am I doing what I'm doing with an intention? Is this going to take me one step further? Because as long as you're having fun with whatever you do, you will feel this positive energy, right? And you will attract more of it, and you're going to move yourself forward. So it's very good to keep learning, but only learn what drives you towards reaching your goal. Ask yourself, when is learning really essential? Because many of us also just want to take one course after the other because we keep thinking that we're not qualified enough or that we don't have enough certifications. And so we just take one course after the other, but we don't actually focus on selling and on marketing what we already have. And usually that's a lot. So it's completion over perfection. It is just to, get small things done, move from one step to the next. Because there are enough things to fill your day with. The last thing you need is to let doubt and fear hold you back. So remember, see the fear, acknowledge the fear, and then do it anyway. One step at a time. So for example, if you want to write a post, write one and post it. Don't think twice. Don't read through it 3 times to, consider deleting everything again and writing it again, or wondering if it's a good post or not, because it will touch someone. Even if you think there is still room for improvement, keep it for the next post. You've done one, you post it, it's out there. One step further in the journey. And as well, when you write it from your heart, things usually turn out really well. So when you connect to that authentic self and you do things from your heart and in the flow, that's when mostly it will attract the most people, the most feedback from others, because they will learn what identifies you. So always work from your heart, and that is what's going to touch the heart of the other as well. And it will define what energy you bring to your work as well. People will be able to tell what energy you come to your work with. And if you show them how positive and how enthusiastic you are about this work, you're going to pull them with you almost, even if they are currently in a burnout, for example. You will give them some kind of a signal that there is a positive vibe around you, and only positive things can come out of it. And then there's an interesting question that I wanted to ask you as well, and that is what success means to you and what it means in society. So this is a question around how you grew up knowing what success is, and that you understand that you actually have the power of changing its value and its definition. So this is definitely something that I would like to give you on the way. Think about what success means for you. How do you measure success? When do you feel successful? How would you describe being successful to a 5-year-old? I really like this question because it relates a lot to sustainability as well, and how we want to create our future. And we're part of creating future. We as women, but also as entrepreneurs, sending out a message. And then you want to try and surround yourself with an environment of people that is positive as well. So that's something that you can also assess for yourself to understand how your energy aligns, after all the learning and in this new journey. How do people fit into your life? And obviously we cannot pick and choose anyone, but we can pick and choose what kind of energy we want to thrive on, or what we want to let in to our life. So think about what type of people uplift and support you. What type of people judge or don't judge you? What do people share with you? Do they usually share, really negative stories and complaints, or do they celebrate with you, look up to you? And then reflect as well on what you look for when you have connections with people. Do you search for confirmation of what's not going well or what's going bad, or do you look for the road that you feel happy on and that path that lets you grow, and where people celebrate with you and are happy with you and feel that positive vibe with you? And that is, of course, a direct way that you can also influence your doubts and your fears and your negativity, because if you surround yourself with an environment that is positive, then those feelings and those negative thoughts will not be fueled. So have a look at the people that are in your environment and whom you mostly feel drawn to at the moment, and if maybe there is some patterns or some things that you would like to change in the future, if there's something that might be beneficial for you or actually the opposite. Can be very interesting, because especially on this path of personal development, happens quite often that our connections with people shift and change, and that we maybe make new friendships and focus less on others and so on. And then to keep your energy balanced, it's also important that you value your space and your time, because like I said earlier, that very quickly with all these business routines, you can fall into overwhelm. And that's the last thing that you want, because actually you are working to represent the opposite. So in order to not even get into a stressful situation or into this mode of overwhelm, it's very advisable to just have routines in place, where you focus on mindfulness, on recovery times, on movement, and you put that into your schedule of the day. And you actually acknowledge that as part of your work as well, because it is. Because when you want to have innovative ideas and you want to come up with new directions, new guidance for your business, it's always going to be you, right? Like you are the one who pulls the strings, you are the one who makes decisions, you are the one who is going to drive your business forward. And so if you want to be in that balance and you want to have space to generate ideas, you have to give yourself that space as well. That's something we often forget about, and then it's very easy to go on the internet or on social media and to look for what other people do and where we can learn something that we can squeeze in, but that's usually not what drives us forward. What really helps is to take space, take a step backward, think, reflect, and come up with your own innovations, because that's what makes your business, what gives it the core. And of course, only when your glass is full, you can also give to others. So this will also help you understand and value your own worth. It will help you celebrate your achievements and also value your strategic planning, because you're going to notice how it helps and how you can free up time for you. It will make it possible eventually to maybe have a 4-hour workday and a profitable business at the same time. So value that from the very beginning. Don't ever sacrifice that time that you give to yourself to make sure that you can recover and you have nutritious food, and you don't go for the quick fast food option just because you want to squeeze in another training. So how do we get lots of followers then? Well, guess what? You don't really need them. All you need is a balanced and a long-term relationship marketing strategy. So that's what I like to focus on. Relationship marketing is one of the keys in the beginning of starting your business, because everything that we have prepared now will make it so much easier for you to speak to people, and it will just feel a lot more natural to build relationships, and you will genuinely get to know people who might be potential clients in the future, because they will be able to see and to recognize your value, and they will be able to understand that you can solve a problem, you can give them a transformation that perhaps before they knew you, they haven't even thought about that opportunity. So it isn't really important to have a lot of followers, because would they all have the same problem that you want to solve for them? And it also isn't necessary to invest into paid ads, because in the beginning you don't really know yet which ads will work, whom you want to target specifically, and how people will also trust you. Because if you don't have a big audience yet, it's difficult for people to just trust you after they've seen an ad from you. And the same, it is not important that you have perfect social media posts. Just be there, be present, and keep speaking about the message that you have drafted, from the heart. So what is important? Well, in the very beginning, it is actually to have a strategic outreach method. Something that doesn't burn you out, but that connects you with those who need their problem solved. It is part of your job to find these people and to somehow reach out to them. That doesn't always need to be a direct message. There's a lot of different ways to reach out to people and to bring them into your network, into your online social media visibility space. But it is something that we have to continuously and strategically work on. So it's almost like we need to build routines just for that in the beginning. Okay, and now coming to an end. So this is just a little bit about me and how you could work with me. I have this 6-month startup coaching program that is called Startup to Celebrate, which includes 16 one-on-one sessions with me, and we go through 4 major pillars. So it covers a lot of the things that we talked about today and some more. The first one is the business mindset, how we gain that confidence and how we identify our inner genius. And we also prepare some of the marketing strategy already so that later on it won't be such a big chunk. So we do a lot of inner work, we work on the inner genius, and we start connecting with potential clients, even if the message isn't ready at this stage. But it's just important to start building relationships anyway. And then in the second stage, we work on the machine of your business, the niche, the positioning statement, and the website, the social media setup, etc. So everything basically where you can send out your message, where you can show yourself, where you become visible. And we try to do that in a way that it doesn't become overwhelming, and that we actually filter where it is most suitable for you to show up. And then in the third stage, we work with most of the back office setup. So there's some, legalities for your website, for example, business planning to actually set up goals and to break it down into smaller steps, to figure out how to do the accounting, to set in place some new business routines that will help you to balance your lifestyle, because this is a very new setup. And we, even though we have this vision on how things are supposed to look like, we have to actively work on making that a new reality for ourselves, because otherwise we're going to keep falling back into old patterns. It is a whole transformation that also we as business owners have to undergo after maybe being in a full-time job. And then the last phase, and that's maybe the heaviest one, is really that we deep dive into the marketing and the sales process. But we combine that with sustainable practices and long-term strategies, so that when I let my clients go from the program, that they really know how to move on and how to go further and which steps they can take on their own later on. Yeah, so that's it. At the moment, the investment for this program is €2,500. And the bonus now before 12th of June would be that I also create the website for you, which I personally love. I love to work with branding and all of the back office things. And yeah, that's all from me today. Do you have any questions? Do you feel that it has been useful for you? I'm always available on various channels. So if you ever have a question or something you would like to brainstorm about, I'm always there.